Welcome back to Whiteboard Wednesday. This is actually part 5 and the final installment of my How to Manage Salespeople series. I got a little jiggy with my Roman numerals here and got confused, so I had to correct that. But it's been a long day of taping, so I figured, oh well, I'm worth at least one mistake. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this series of whiteboard sessions, and I hope they've been helpful. One of the questions I get asked very frequently is, wow, Townsend, this is a lot of stuff to manage. It's a lot of stuff to keep track of. How do you manage all this stuff? And how do you know where you are in the process? And how do you remember all these little piece parts? Because, gosh, managing people is hard. Well, managing people is hard, and managing people takes a lot of work, and it takes a lot of discipline, and you have to be on your A game, and that's probably why you were asked to be a manager in the first place. Unfortunately, you probably didn't get a lot of coaching or tools for how to keep track of all this stuff. So I'll provide a download of this in a PDF format, but I at least wanted to walk through how I manage the people on my team, how I think about where they are in the process, and how I kind of keep track of things. I've seen people use spreadsheets and Word docs, and frankly, it's really difficult because if you're tracking things, in this very linear format, you end up having this long tail of notes and information, and it gets really, really confusing. So this is really, a template that you can print out, not this one obviously, and you can fill out and use, and something you can keep with you that's, I think, very simple. Keep in mind, as far as management is concerned, there's a tendency to sort of collect information through all of time and keep all the context and history about what is going on and keep all these very detailed notes. And I have a pretty radical departure from that view, and that is that for me, management is really about a very near history, a very near term, what has happened, and more importantly, what needs to happen next. So that's really the framework we're gonna work from. And I apologize, my drawing is neither straight nor beautiful, but this is a very simple document you can use to manage people's time. So as we go across the columns, the first one, not surprisingly, is going to be the sales rep's name, right? We got to figure out who we're dealing with. And here's Bob, and here's Jeff, and here's Susie with a Z, right? As we go across the top, these first 3 boxes really relate to interactions. Remember I said in my last video, management happens between 2 people. Management is about the conversation. So on a week-by-week basis, you're going to need to have several interactions with folks, and you're going to need to manage your thoughts around the interactions, right? And keep a context of that. And in reality, you're not going to have too many interactions. I mean, if somebody's really off the rails or needing a lot of management, you might be meeting with them 3 or 4 times a week. But fundamentally, you're probably going to be meeting, once a week or once a month. If it's once a week, you could certainly add more columns, etc. So let's just think about it this way. Here's week 1, and I'm going to operate from the assumption that, for my team here, I've got standing half an hour or 45-minute one-on-one meetings. So, every week, I'm going to have one meeting with them. So here's week 1, week 2, and then week 3. Pretty self-explanatory. The final column, and I'll just put it in there for now, is really what I want to think about as the parking lot, right? Because even when you're dealing with specific interactions, specific sales meetings, for example, your weekly one-on-one, as I was saying, you're going to, throughout the course of the day, the week, the month, have the opportunity to both observe behaviors and also hear from others about behaviors or get anecdotal evidence of behaviors of people on your team. And it's very important that you're not going around playing whack-a-mole all day long and trying to solve every single issue as it happens. If you're in the middle of a pricing negotiation with a client and it's getting tense and you're trying to harness all these internal resources and you're observing a dysfunctional behavior with your salesperson, that is not the time to say, hey, I'm really concerned with the fact you seem to come out with your guns blazing and your tone seems to be, condescending. We need to get the negotiation done. We need to get ink on the paper. The issue with talking down to people needs to be addressed, but not right now. And I need a place to put that I might not have. So if I'm carrying around my sheet or using this on my laptop, I might observe a behavior with Jeff that leads me to believe that there's a potential conversation related to talking down to peers. And I want to make note of that, and I want to keep track of it, but it's not something I want to bring up. I want to put it, maybe in these weeks, maybe in the 4th week. Who knows? The timing will matter. It also, I want to be clear, I'm not writing down the details of the incident. I'm not writing down what happened. I'm trying to capture behaviors, not the situation. And that's really important to understand, because a lot of times the tendency for a sales manager is to say, well, I need to remember what they did and who they were talking to and the exact situation that was going on. My personal belief is that talking about the situation leads to justification and resistance. I don't need to worry about the situation. Over time, as I observe or get anecdotal evidence of behaviors, I can then, in the course of one of my other interactions, make that an agenda topic, right? So now we've got our framework and we know where to put, the future stuff. Really, this is all about the future, right? What do I want to talk about in the future, not, to react to, etc. So now that I've got, this framework, let's assume I'm going into my first week's conversation with my sales rep. This is going to be the point where I want to start to articulate the things that I'm going to bring up, the potential course corrections. And I'm going to say, sorry for my small writing, but there's call volume, it's going to be a topic, and then also, lead response times, are an issue. So these are things that I can capture and know that I need to take care of. Might even use a different color, who knows. We go into the meeting and we have an agreement that up volume, and I'm truncating here because I don't obviously have the room, but up volume, 25%, they committed that to me. Now the next week when I'm going to that conversation, right, I've got a record of this. I also know where I am in terms of managing them, right? Up volume, well, it's not there. This time we were at the point where I needed to say that they committed to put prospecting time in the calendar, right? And those of you that watch the other videos, this will make sense because this is how I would actually keep track of where I was in the previous conversation, the misses, if you will, and on, right? This is also an area where I could, basically indicate that I need to schedule more time, additional readouts, additional training, any sort of course correction. So you think about it as, what do I want to talk about, or what's the topic, and then the what's next. So it's a very simple template. I'm not trying to capture all the nuances. What did I go in wanting to deal with? What did I come out of it with them committing to do, or me assigning to them, etc., etc. So there's really no confusion. Remember that I'm also sending follow-ups and doing the good job of reinforcing any instructions or course corrections, so that should help. And the bottom line is, you're going to have a lot of issues on your plate. Every parent has heard the mantra, pick your battles. And the same applies for managing a team of professionals, right? You can't solve every problem every single time. But I hope that this template at least will give you a simple way to manage what is a lot of complexity with a couple of the tools that we've already talked about, and keep it very sane, and also give you a place to put maybe longer term or more significant issues that will need to be worked on. So I hope that this has been helpful. I hope this template helps you. I hope the series has got your thoughts going around how to manage your team to more success, and also hopefully made you feel more comfortable in your role as a manager. As always, invite your comments and questions. Look forward to hearing those, and thank you for watching.